on Wednesday. Well, to talk more about this, we're now joined by Pascal Alain Handy, founder and director of the HCCP Global Think Tank. So good evening. Thanks for joining us. First up, the opposition in Gabon, if we can start with them. It says that Gabon should be grateful for the coup d'etat. What's the likelihood that the two will work together? Where does the opposition stand here?
Yeah, I think that this is a matter of principle. What has happened in Gabon, it's a watershed moment. Either the international community decide to use the toolbox of the electoral system that has been in place for the longest time. There are three ways in which you can solve a post-electoral dispute. First, you can do a recount, the hanging chart that we've seen in Florida. Secondly, you can redo the elections in contentious areas. And thirdly, you can go to the judge. And in this instance, I think that a coup is not justified, and an additional time given to the military will not be justifiable, especially in the aftermath of the drumbeat of wars in the Sahel.
And the opposition has called on the junta precisely to allow the election to continue its course.
Yes.
Is anything likely to change here?
Yeah, I think that if there is maximum pressure applied on the new junta and then a combination of goodwill from the ECAS, the Economic Commission of Central African States, and CEMAC, which has a habit of resolving this problem. You recall that in 2013 there was the invasion of Central African Republic by vicious rebels, but the economic community was able to hold special summits and come up with a transitional process with a head of state of the transition that actually paved the way for the return to constitutional legality in 2016. So you have there an institutional memory for dealing with, the unconstitutional assumption of power. And I think that in this instance, this coup is one too many, and then it should not be allowed to take place. Now, Africa needs to have principled leadership that can create a framework and a level playing field that allow the majority of people to flourish and reach their potential. And this constant coronavirus of, widespread chronic instability cannot be allowed to go on for much longer. And that is why I believe that we have an opportunity here, especially given the strong position taken by the international community in Niger to demand that, the basic principle of democracy be applied, because right now what we are witnessing is democracy.
I'd like to pick up on just what you said. This is, I believe, the 8th coup in the past 3 years in a former French colony.
Yes.
This obviously brings up conversation about the idea of France-Afrique, France's colonial past in Africa and its close ties to some of the regimes there. There are similarities between what we heard about a little earlier, the coup in Niger and the coup in Gabon. There are some similarities, but it's very different. What stands out to you?
Yeah, first of all, let's just deal with the lingo and the labeling. I don't think that these are former French colony. I think they're African countries that are independent in their own right, and they deserve to be called African countries, because we don't call the U.S. a former colony of the U.K. So that, having said that, what I would say is that there are similarities and major differences. The DNA and the blueprint of coup d'etat in Niger has been that they're non-lethal. They rarely put in danger the civilian populations. That is why we were unable to actually invoke the responsibility to protect. I was in Nigeria in 2010 as chief technical advisor for UNDP. We managed a similar coup d'etat, and two things that we were able to do to reduce the length of the transition to 18 months and then give them an additional 6 months to organize free and fair election. And on the basis of those serious negotiations, sanctions were waived. And then additionally, what happened is that we have had 3 democratic elections that we work on those. So there is a possibility. But in Gabon, you have an entrenched government that has been there for so long and that has ramification and deeply rooted in the fabric of the body politics. So actually, the belief that just by a coup d'etat they will actually change something radically there, to me, is a little bit far-fetched. Another difference is that right now there is an opposition which is actually adamant on claiming victory. And there has not been on the table a sound proposal to be able to bridge the gap between all those parties and then to come up with a sound solution. But certainly the Central African region needs peace, needs stability, and for that to happen, it will take the coming together, the full gamut of resources, both from the international community and the international regulatory framework that was created in 1945, which is also crashing before our eyes because it's been so far ineffective in being able to provide solutions. But right now, I think that the time, we're still in time to be able to broker a sound solutions that aligns with the democratic principles. Otherwise, as I said, once again, this coronavirus of pandemic of never-ending widespread destabilization will continue, and we will end up having a democracy. As you know, the elections in Africa since 1965 have always been based on the fact that the winner takes all, and then tell the opposition that they to go screw themselves, to use a word. That's what John le Carré used in his latest novel, and then the opposition comes back from the bush in the form of a rebellion, and then we go from from the initial stage. But that right. Back and forth has got to stop because the continent is now rising, is ascending to have a seat at the table, moving from the menu, which is the new framework.
Excellent to get your views there. That was Simon Pascal Alain Handy, founder of the HCCP Global Think Tank.
Think and do tank.
Think and do tank.
Think and do tank.
And that's it for this edition on Eye on Africa. Up news, it's the international headlines. Stay with us.
Yeah, thank you very much.